Welcome back to the Anfield Exchange. Today, we're going to be talking about January transfers. So, who have we got in the team where we can improve? I think, look, I'm a firm believer that you need to strengthen when you get the opportunity. We're top of the Premier League, we're top of the Champions League. Things are looking good for Liverpool at the minute, but there are places that we can improve on this team. And I think, look, a lot of this has been in the media sort of recently. Andy Robertson at left back. I do believe we need a left back. I'm not convinced we need one right now because I think a lot of the criticism that Robertson's been getting, I think it's a little bit over the top. I don't think he's been as bad as what people are saying. There's been games where he's played 8 out of 10. There's been occasions where he had a shocker against Fulham. He got sent off early and look, he has made a few mistakes recently. But I do think, going to the end of the season, Robertson, Tsimikas, I do think they've got us in this position we're in now. So why can't they keep us in this position? That being said, I've got a few options that I want to discuss because I do think it's something we need to look at long term. Now, before I get into my favourite, Fabrizio Romano's just put a tweet out, and Bournemouth have just signed Juan Soler from Lanús. I think he's Argentinian, but we've just signed him for 15 million. He's a left back, and he's on a 4-year deal. So that tells me that there's going to be some movement with Kerkez at Bournemouth. Now, he's the one I want, if I'm honest. Long term at Liverpool, I think he's the one I want. But a lot of it depends on what Trent Alexander-Arnold's doing. So Trent plays the inverted fullback, and he plays it very well. Now, if he stays at Liverpool, I think on the left-hand side, you need a direct replacement for Andy Robertson, which I think Kerkez is. Robertson gets forward, gets crosses into the box. Kerkez is a similar player. Now, if Trent leaves for Real Madrid, I think you can potentially look at somebody like Aït-Nouri at Wolves, bring him into the left-back position and play him as the inverted left-back. I think he's more accustomed to that role, which would then free you up on the right-hand side to replace Trent with a more direct wing-back, like a Jeremy Frimpong. So I do think I'm torn, dependent on what Trent does, whether he signs a contract with us or whether he leaves to Real Madrid, I would go for Kerkez or I'd go for Aït-Nouri based off that decision, but I wouldn't be doing anything until the summer with that. Now, if Arne Slot's had conversations with Trent, if, for example, Trent has told Slot that he wants to leave for Real Madrid, I would probably try and get a deal done for Aït-Nouri with the potential. Look, Wolves are not going to let one of their best players go in the midst of a relegation battle, but it would be something that I would do where I would, like the Mohamedashvili deal, where he's joining in the summer, I would potentially make a deal now to get Aït-Nouri in the summer. If we went for Kerkez, if Trent has had them private conversations with Slot and he said, no, I'm going to stay, I would potentially look at getting Kerkez now. I think it would be the right time for Liverpool. Probably the wrong time for Bournemouth. But it would be the right time for Liverpool to bring Kerkez in if he's available. But look, there's been interest from Man United for Kerkez. They're desperate for a left-back, so you don't know. You don't know what conversations are going on inside the club. This is just my opinion. Kerkez and Aït-Nouri would be my favourite two for that position. Another couple of options which I've sort of dismissed, Alphonso Davies and Anthony Robinson. Now, I like Anthony Robinson. I think he's a brilliant player, but he's 27. He's got 3 years on Robertson. And now I'm not saying he's going to be showing signs of sort of tiredness in the next 3 years, the way Robertson has, because he's not been playing rock and roll football for 8 years under Jurgen Klopp, so he's probably got more left in him. But I'd just be a little bit worried of his age. He's now 27. I think the right time to do that deal would have been 3 years ago. But we had Robertson, and he was we wouldn't have even thought about replacing him. The Alphonso Davies one for me is, I see a lot of his name being touted around in the media and a lot of links to Liverpool. For me, this is a no-go. And I think what it probably would be is more noise being sort of produced from his agency, from his network, trying to drum up interest in Davies, knowing that his contract's out in the summer, is it? I'm not sure on the Davies thing, but my problem with Alphonso Davies is, and it's not, I think he's a good player. Bayern Munich don't let players go who still have something to offer. I think back to, I look at Thiago. When Liverpool signed Thiago, brilliant player, doesn't spend enough time on the pitch. I remember when United signed Bastian Schweinsteiger and his legs had gone. His legs had just gone, and he was a legend at Bayern Munich. Matthias de Ligt, look again, he's a player that he's played for Juventus, he's played for Bayern Munich, now he's playing for Man United. I don't know what the issue is with him because he looks like a decent player, but Bayern Munich wouldn't let him go. There must be something there. Why did Juventus let him leave if he was that good? Why did Bayern Munich let him leave if he was that good? I don't know. Bayern Munich are one of the clubs that have got a reputation for being a well-run club, and yeah, I'm just not convinced that by them letting Alphonso Davies leave, I'm not convinced that he has too much to offer. It'd probably be a good signing for somebody, but not for Liverpool, not in my opinion. The second position I'd like to look at is a holding midfield position. I know Slot and Liverpool were in for Zubamendi in the summer. They've made it clear in the summer that they were looking for a holding midfielder. That never materialised. I don't think anybody could have anticipated the job that Gravenberch has come in and done. I think credit to Gravenberch for that, and credit for Arne Slot for that. My worry with Gravenberch, because he's probably played the most minutes out of anyone this season for us, which is testament to how he's performing, and he's been brilliant. But my worry is he has had injuries in the past, and I'm a little bit wary of overusing him and sort of maybe forcing one of those injuries to come back and us being left quite short in that position. I know Curtis Jones has played there quite a little bit. He's been sort of rotating, but I prefer Curtis Jones to be further up the field. I prefer him to rotate with Szoboszlai, and if he's doing that, then it leaves us with Endo and Tyler Morton. I'd probably think about, certainly for the rest of his season, trying to get Tyler Morton sent out on loan to a Premier League club like a Leicester or even a Southampton, someone like that. I'd look at getting Tyler Morton sent out on loan because I do think he's got something, and I do think he could play a part going forward in Liverpool's squad. But I would be looking at bringing in a holding midfielder in January. Again, I've got a few options for holding midfielders. There's two on the list that I'd like, and there's two that I'm sort of torn on. And I'm going to talk about the two that I'd be torn on. The first one's Zubamendi. I think he's a good player. I think he's a very good player. But he's rejected us already once, and that doesn't really sit well with me. He had the opportunity to sign for Liverpool in the summer. He decided to stay at Real Sociedad. What frustrates me is I see a lot of interviews, and Liverpool were brought up, and it feels like there's something potentially still there. But for me, you have the opportunity to play for Liverpool. You rejected Liverpool. I get that Sociedad is your boyhood club. look, Liverpool doesn't come around every summer, and you made your decision. So I'd sort of steer clear of Zubimendi for that reason. Also, I think, look, Man City are going to be in for a holding midfielder with Rodri out for the rest of the season. I think it would make sense for Man City to probably go in for Zubimendi. He's Rodri's replacement in Spain. He would be Rodri's replacement in Man City, and I think that's a deal that might actually happen. But yeah, for that reason, I wouldn't go in for Zubimendi. Now, the next one I'm torn on. I would like to have a conversation about Romeo Lavia. So, unlike Zubimendi would come in and he would want to be first team, and he probably would be first team, which, yes, creates competition, but I don't know who you drop between Gravenberch and McAllister, whether you push McAllister further up and drop Szoboszlai, I don't know. Romeo Lavia, he's not playing too much for Chelsea. He hasn't played too much for Chelsea since we were interested in him and he went to Chelsea. I think he could be potentially an interesting deal for the rest of the season. So a potential loan deal to Chelsea. Maybe with an option to buy in the summer, depending on how he performs. I think Chelsea, it might be something that Chelsea would be interested in. It would give them the opportunity to just trim their squad slightly, as well as getting him that fitness, getting him that game time, getting him that experience to potentially go and play in the Chelsea squad on his return. Because at the minute he's not getting a look in. And I'm not saying I want Lavia to come. I just think it's an interesting one where I think it might be a deal that would work for both parties for the short term. Again, my issue with that is we went in for him in the summer last year, and that didn't materialise either, and he ended up at Chelsea, which was a little bit frustrating because I did like the idea of signing him, but I think it's something you can sort of potentially look into there, and just sort of have a conversation with Chelsea and see where they stand with it. My final two, and these are both players that I like. They both play for the same team. We've got history, and it's Porto, Alan Varela, and Nico Gonzalez. We have history with Porto. We brought Luis Diaz in the January, and he's turned out to be a fantastic signing. I like Varela and I like Gonzalez. I think in terms of who's more suited to come in and do a job in the Premier League right now, I think you're looking at Alan Varela. Potential-wise, I do like Nico Gonzalez. I do like Gonzalez. There's something about him that I think it might take a little bit longer for him to come into the Premier League and adjust to the style of play, the physicality, the speed of the Premier League. He's having a very good season in Porto, and it's definitely one that I would keep an eye on. But for me, I would like to see Alan Varela come in, and I would like to see him, Gravenberch, and McAllister all rotate and just give us extra options in midfield. Give Gravenberch some rest. Make sure we don't sort of tire him out. We are using Gravenberch a lot and he's playing a lot of football, and I don't want him to pick up an injury and it be detrimental to our season. But yeah, I think, look, there's definitely work to be done in the squad, but ultimately we are in a very, very good position. A lot of credit to the players, huge credit to Arne Slot and the backroom staff and what we're doing there. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know where you think we can improve in the summer. Get involved in the comments. Let me know who you would make an approach for, who you would bring into the club, and I'll see you on the next one.